The quantum receiver hummed quietly in the corner of Nora Blackwood's office, its holographic display casting a soft, blue glow across her cluttered desk. 3 years of monitoring deep space signals had yielded nothing but cosmic background radiation and the occasional pulsar burst that changed on a rainy Tuesday in October. Blackwood, the lab's computer system chimed anomalous. Signal detected in frequency band. Theanine Nora pushed aside her cold coffee and leaned forward, her dark eyes scanning the incoming data streams. The pattern was unlike anything she'd seen before, too structured to be natural, too complex to be human-made. Run decay pattern analysis, she commanded, fingers flying across the holographic interface. The results made her breath catch. The signal wasn't coming from deep space, it was originating just beyond Mars' orbit, and it was getting stronger. "This is fascinating," she muttered, already composing a message to the Global Space Communications Center's director. But before she could send it, the quantum receiver's display erupted in a cascade of light, and a voice filled her office. "Help, please, running out of time." The words came in perfect English, though the voice carried harmonics impossible for human vocal cords to produce. Nora's heart raced as she activated the lab's recording systems. "This is Nora Blackwood of Earth's Global Space Communication Center. Please identify yourself." Static crackle. "Then I am Zyrex. Vessel damaged, pursuing forces 12 Earth hours behind, needs sanctuary." Nora's mind reeled. First contact was happening at her desk over a quantum channel that shouldn't have been capable of real-time communication. "Zerx, I need to alert our authorities. We're not equipped to know." The alien's voice carried such desperation that Nora flinched. "Your government's too slow, too cautious. What I carry changes everything, both our species, please." Warning lights flashed on Nora's console as security protocols detected the unauthorized communication she had minutes before the system would automatically alert military command. "Why me?" she asked, fingers hovering over the controls that could either terminate the connection or bypass security. "Your work understanding alien linguistics proves you see beyond boundaries. I study your papers. You question assumptions about communication consciousness. You understand." Nora's eyes widened. An alien had read her research. "How did you know?" "Time Zyrex interrupted forces is pursuing me, want to prevent change, natural evolution. They fear what we could become together." The security countdown reached 30 seconds. Nora made her decision, entering the override codes she wasn't supposed to have. "Tell me what you need." "Coordinates. Safe landing zone away from population centers and static, nearly overwhelmed." The channel trust as Nora transmitted the coordinates for a remote research facility in the ATA. Become a desert. She knew she was potentially committing treason, but her entire career had been devoted to understanding alien communication. She couldn't turn away now. "Zyrex, what exactly are you bringing to Earth?" The answer came through layers of interference. "Truth about both our species, about what we could become." The signal began to fade. 12 hours to Blackwood, then everything changes. The quantum receiver went dark, leaving Nora alone with the enormity of what had just happened. She had minutes before someone noticed the security override. Her career, possibly her freedom now, hinged on whether she'd made the right choice. She reached for her secure tablet, composing a message to the only person she thought might help. "Dear James Harrison," her old mentor who now ran the Atana facility. As she typed, her hands shook with equal parts excitement and fear. "James, I need your help. First contact scenario in progress. No time for official channels. Clear the facility. What's coming? It's bigger than all of us." She hesitated for a moment, then added, "And if I'm wrong about this, I'm sorry for ending both our careers." Outside her office window, the rain had stopped, and breaks in the clouds reveal a star-filled sky. Somewhere up there, an alien vessel was racing toward Earth, carrying something that would supposedly change everything. And Nora Blackwood, who had spent her life trying to understand alien communication, was about to learn if she made the biggest breakthrough in human history or the biggest mistake. The next 12 hours would answer that question. But one thing was already certain. Nothing would ever be the same again. The Atacama facility's thermal sensors detected the alien vessel before it became visible. Sir James Harrison watched the readings with growing concern as the object decelerated from relativistic speeds, bleeding off energy in a way that defied physics. Your friend better be right about this, Lieutenant Rebecca Torrey said, checking her tactical display. Despite Nora's request for secrecy, James had been forced to alert some military presence. Better the devil you knew. Because if that thing's hostile, we're severely outgunned. The vessel appeared as a shimmer in the pre-dawn sky, its hull seeming to bend light around it. It was smaller than expected, barely larger than a passenger jet, and its organic curves suggested a biology-based technology far beyond human understanding. Nora stood beside the landing pad, her heart pounding. The quantum receiver she brought from her lab was picking up increasing amounts of data, but none of it made sense. The vessel's final approach was completely silent, as if it displaced no air at all. It landed with impossible grace, a section of the hull flowing like liquid to form. An opening in the doorway stood a being that challenged everything Nora thought she knew about alien life. Cirques was humanoid, but that's where any similarity to Earth life ended. Their bodies seemed to be composed of crystalline structures that shifted and flowed, refracting light in complex patterns that hinted at internal processes. When they moved, it was with a fluid grace that suggested their entire body could reconfigure itself at will. Blackwood Xyrex's voice carried the same impossible harmonics she'd heard over the quantum link. Thank you for trusting, Lieutenant. Torres raised her weapon as Zar stumbled, their crystalline form flickering with what might have been pain. Stay back, she warned. No time, Zai said, their form stabilizing. Pursuing forces 133 minutes until arrival. Must explain. They extended a crystalline appendage, and a holographic display materialized in the air between them. The images that appeared struck Nora speechless. They showed two species, human and another race that looked similar to Xyrex, evolving along parallel paths. But it was the projected future that caused her breath to catch. The lines of evolution began to converge, showing possibilities that defied imagination. My people discovered this possibility centuries ago, Xyrex explained, their voice growing stronger. Some embraced it, others feared it. The pursuers, they believe evolution must be controlled, prevented from reaching its natural conclusion, which is what exactly James asked, his scientific curiosity overriding his caution. Convergence, unity. Your species stands at a crossroads, as mine did. The potential for transformation exists within your very cells. We could. Proximity alarms screamed to life. Multiple objects had just entered Earth's atmosphere at extreme velocity. Here Xyrex is form pulsed with urgency. The preservers, they will destroy everything to prevent change, to keep both our species. Their voice caught pure. Lieutenant Torres was already calling for reinforcements, but Nora knew conventional weapons would be useless against beings who could travel between stars. What do they want to erase? The possibility. They believe they protect both our species, but they would deny us our destiny. The knowledge I carry. Xyrex, his form flickered again. It proves that controlled evolution is a lie. True transformation comes from choice, from understanding. The sky lit up with multiple entry trails. The pursuing vessels were larger than Xyrex, their designs angular and aggressive. Nora made a decision inside the facility. She commanded, we have shielded labs underground. Lieutenant, buy us what time you can. As they rushed into the facility, Zyre shared more of the truth through their quantum link. Nora saw visions of possible futures of humanity and Zyre's people achieving things together that neither species could manage alone. But she also saw the price of failure. Centuries of controlled, stunted evolution enforced by beings who feared change. The first explosions rocked the desert floor as they reached the main lab. Xyrex, his form was becoming increasingly unstable, the crystalline structures losing coherence. Why now? Nora asked as they sealed the lab doors. Why come to Earth at this moment, sire? Is answered sure, because your species is about to make the same mistake mine did your scientists they seek to control. Evolution to direct it according to their vision, but true transformation cannot be controlled, only chosen freely. The facility's walls shuddered under another impact. They were out of time. Blackwood Xli's voice carried desperation. Now I can share the truth, show you what's possible, but the choice must be yours. The change, it cannot be forced above them. The sounds of battle grew louder as Earth's defenses engaged the preservers. Humanity's first contact was rapidly becoming a war, all because some beings couldn't accept the possibility of change. Nora looked at her mentor, James, at Lieutenant Tour, who had stayed to defend them, and finally at Cyrex, an alien being who had crossed light years to offer humanity a choice. The future hung in the balance, and once again Nora Blackwood found herself having to trust her instincts about an alien intelligence, but this time the stakes were infinitely higher. The underground lab's quantum shielding held against the preserver initial assault, but each impact made the crystalline structure of Xerex's body flicker more violently. Harrison worked frantically at his console, analyzing the alien's deteriorating condition. Their molecular structure is phasing between multiple quantum states, he reported, eyes fixed on readings that defied conventional physics. It's as if they exist in several dimensions simultaneously, not deterioration. Xerex corrected their harmonics, carrying pain. Transformation, what you see is possibility made manifest. They turn to Nora. The preservers think they protect, but they cage. Evolution demands freedom. Lieutenant Torres monitored the tactical feeds as Earth's military responded to the invasion. Our weapons are having no effect. Their shields operate on principles we can't even detect, let alone penetrate through their quantum link. Nora received another flood of images from Xyrex civilizations across the galaxy, each approaching the same evolutionary crossroads. Some chose transformation, embracing the uncertainty of change. Others surrendered to the preserver promise of controlled, safe development. Show them, Nora said suddenly. Show them what you've shown me. If people understand what's possible, understanding is not enough. Xerex interrupted. The preservers believe they act from wisdom. They see themselves as guardians protecting younger species from their own potential. Their form stabilized briefly, revealing complex patterns that seem to extend into invisible dimensions, but they fear what they cannot control. Our Harrison's console chimed with new data. These readings, the energy signatures from your ship, from your body, they're identical to anomalies we've detected in human DNA. Sequences we thought were jump code, but their activation keys, Xyrex confirmed. Possibilities encoded in your genetics, waiting to be awakened. Your species carry is the seeds of transformation. As mine did, the preservers would keep those seeds dormant forever. Another explosion rocked the facility through the quantum link. Nora felt Xyrex's growing urgency. Time was running out. Why did they let you get this far? Lieutenant Torres demanded. With their technology, they could have stopped you before you reached Earth, because they believe their victory inevitable. They have enacted this protocol on 1,000 worlds. Xyre's form rippled with something like sorrow, but they do not understand true change cannot be prevented, only delayed. And delay, they gestured to their unstable form, breeds desperation. Nor is quantum receiver suddenly lit up with new signals. The preservers were broadcasting on all frequencies, their message repeating in every human language. We come in peace. The entity known as Xerex represents a threat to natural order. Surrender them, and we will depart. Resist, and we will be forced to implement quarantine protocols. Quarantine? Nora asked, though she feared. She knew the answer: genetic suppression. Xyrex explained, they will modify your entire species to dampen the sequences that enable transformation. Humanity will survive, but its potential. Their form flickered again, more violently. You will be forever stunted, forever safe. Dr. Harrison's face had gone pale as he studied new data. They're not lying. I'm detecting quantum field modifications in the upper atmosphere. They're already beginning the process. Lieutenant Torres checked her tactical display. Again, 6 minutes until they breach the facility's outer defenses. Whatever we're going to do, it needs to happen now. Nora felt the weight of impossibility pressing down. Humanity's future hung in the balance, and she was helping an alien fugitive resist beings who claimed to be humanity's protectors. Had she doomed her species by trusting Xerx? But then she remembered the visions they had shared, the incredible potential that lay dormant in human DNA, waiting to be awakened. The preservers offered safety through stagnation. Xerx offered something far more dangerous: choice. There's something you haven't told us, she said, meeting ties. Crystalline gazed. Something about why you really chose Earth, chose me. Xerx's form stabilized momentarily, and her harmonics carried a new tone, hope mixed with fear. Yes, because unlike other species who faced this choice, humanity has already begun to change your quantum research, your understanding of genetic potential. You are closer to transformation than you know, and either form shifted, revealing patterns that eerily mirrored human DNA structures. I am proof of what that transformation could become. The truth hit Nora like a physical blow. Xerx wasn't just warning humanity about the preservers, they were showing them their own future, a future the preservers would do anything to prevent. The facility's quantum shields flickered as Dar Harrison's instruments registered in unprecedented energy surge from above. They're beginning the genetics suppression, he announced, Ed voice tight with tension. The atmospheric changes are accelerating. Nora felt it through her connection with Xerx, a subtle pressure trying to dampen something she hadn't known existed within her own cells. The preservers weren't just blocking humanity's future evolution, they were actively reversing their potential. How do we stop them? Lieutenant Torres demanded, her tactical display showing the systematic defeat of Earth's military forces. The preserver technology was simply too advanced. We don't. Xer said, their crystalline form now pulsing with patterns that perfectly matched the quantum frequencies in Nora's DNA. But we can show them something they've never seen. Willing transformation through their link. Nora finally understood the full truth. Xerx wasn't just an evolved member of their species, they were the first to achieve transformation through choice rather than force or genetic manipulation. That's why the preservers feared them. Free will was the one variable they couldn't control. The changes they're making to the atmosphere, Dar Harrison interrupted, they're not just suppressing genetic potential, they're rewriting the quantum field itself. In an hour, transformation won't just be impossible, it'll be unthinkable. Xi's form suddenly stabilized their crystalline structure, achieving perfect clarity. Dr. Blackwood, what you feel through our connection, that resonance between your DNA and my evolved state, it's not coincidence. Your research into quantum genetics brought you closer to understanding than any human before. You're already changing. Nora felt it then, a humming in her cells that had nothing to do with fear or adrenaline. Her own genetic structure was responding to Xerx's presence, awakening dormant sequences that had always been there waiting. If I complete the transformation, she said slowly, what happens to me, to humanity? You become a bridge. Xerx answered, their harmonics carrying wonder and urgency. Your choice, freely made, creates a path others can follow, not forced evolution but invited change. Another blast rocked the facility. Lieutenant Torres checked her display. 2 minutes until shield failure. Whatever we're doing, it needs to happen now. Dar Harrison looked up from his console face grave. The suppression field is at 40% coverage. Once it hits 100%, there's no going back. We'll be permanently locked into our current evolutionary state. Nora felt the weight of billions of futures pressing down on her if she refused. Humanity would survive, but forever stunted, their greatest potential locked away by beings who thought they knew best. If she agreed, there was no guarantee what she would become. Why me? She asked Xerx one final time. Because you understand that communication, true communication, requires letting go of assumptions. Because you've spent your life trying to bridge gaps between species, and because their form pulsed with something like Tenderness, you were brave enough to trust a desperate alien's call for help. The facility shook again. As the outer defenses failed, through their quantum link, Nora felt the preserver's suppression field growing. Stronger felt her own cells beginning to forget possibilities they'd always known. Lieutenant Torres raised her weapon as the lab doors began to glow with enemy. Energy Doctor, whatever you're going to do, Nora looked at her mentor James Harrison, who had always encouraged her to push boundaries, at Lieutenant Torres, who had chosen to defend a possibility, rather than surrender to false safety, and at Zyrex, who had risked everything to offer humanity a choice. She made her decision. Show me, she said to Zyrex, extending her hand toward their crystalline form. Show me what we can become. The last thing Nora Blackwood saw, as human, was the lab erupting in quantum light, her DNA remembering patterns it had always known, her consciousness expanding to embrace transformation that came not from force, but from understanding and choice. The preservers had never encountered anything like what was about to emerge. The quantum light that filled the lab didn't fade, it transformed. Where dear Nora Blackwood had stood, a new form took shape, neither human nor crystalline, but something that transcended both. Her consciousness expanded beyond physical boundaries, understanding flowing between her and Zerx in ways language could never capture. The preservers breached the lab's doors just in time to witness what they had fought so long to prevent. Willing transformation, freely chosen, their energy weapons powered up, but hesitated at the sight before them. Nora's new form rippled with patterns of light that spoke of infinite possibility. Her DNA had not just changed, it had awakened, remembering patterns encoded since the dawn of life itself. Through her connection with Zyrex, she understood that all species carried these seeds of transformation that the preservers hadn't been protecting. Evolution, they had been stifling it. Impossible. The preserver leader's voice carried harmonics of fear. The suppression field cannot stop what is freely chosen. Nora responded, her voice carrying the same multiple tone resonance as Zyrex. You try to cage possibility itself, but you never understood evolution isn't a path to be controlled, it's a choice to be embraced. Dr. Harris's instruments overloaded as they tried to measure what Nora had become. Lieutenant Torres lowered her weapon, recognizing that conventional defense was now meaningless. Through their quantum link, Nora felt Zyrex, his joy at finding another being who understood true transformation. The preserver leader stepped forward, their advanced technology humming with lethal potential. This cannot be allowed. The pattern must be maintained. The pattern, Nora said, her form shifting through possibilities that made the preserver technology seem primitive, was never meant to be maintained. It was meant to be transcended. She reached out, not with physical form, but with transformed consciousness, and touched the quantum field the preservers had used to suppress humanity's potential. It unraveled at her touch, dissolved by understanding that ran deeper than force. What have you done? The preserver leader demanded as their suppression field collapsed worldwide. Offered a choice. Nora answered, the same choice you denied 1,000 worlds, the choice to become more than what we are, not through control, but through understanding. The preservers raised their weapons, but found them useless against what Nora had become. Her transformed consciousness stretched across the planet, awakening the dormant potential in every human cell, not forcing change but offering possibility. Your species will destroy itself, the preservers warned. Change must be controlled, guided. No, Zyrex interrupted, their form harmonizing perfectly with Nora's. Change must be chosen. Look at what she has become, not through force or fear, but through trust. And understanding this is what you have fought so long to prevent. Evolution driven by choice rather than control. Across the planet, humans felt the awakening of their dormant potential. Potential, not a forked transformation, but an invitation to explore what they could become. Some would choose to remain as they were, others would embrace change at their own pace, in their own way. That freedom to choose, that was what the preservers had never understood. We offer you the same choice, Nora said to the preservers. Stay and witness what willing transformation can achieve, or leave, and know that your age of control has ended. Evolution finds a way, not through force, but through freedom. The preservers retreated their certainty, shattered by something their controlled evolution had never predicted: transformation born of choice and understanding rather than force and fear. In the lab, Dr. Harrison and Lieutenant Taz watched as Nora and Zyrex's forms danced with possibilities. "What happens now?" Taurus asked her tactical display, showing the preserver ships departing Earth's atmosphere. "Now," Nora answered her consciousness, embracing both her human past and transformed future, "we explore what we can become, not alone, but together, not through control, but through choice." She felt Zyrex's agreement through their shared understanding. Their journey had begun with a desperate call for help, but it had become something more: proof that the greatest transformations come not from force or fear, but from the simple courage to choose change. Across Earth, humanity stood at the threshold of possibility. Some would remain as they were, comfortable in their current form. Others would explore the potential that had always existed in their DNA, but the choice would be theirs, and that freedom to choose was the greatest evolution of all.